the memories of you having a baby might be another reason why you don't want to keep it.
Yes.
Why should I keep it? Because government says I can't do that. Yes. And it's expensive traveling. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
The amount of money involved in traveling from one state to the other to have this done, it's expensive. And that's one of the reasons why. Because you know that, like we mentioned earlier in our first coverage,
right.
The laws that we have here in Ghana are so different from what we have in the US. Because it doesn't govern every single state.
So that's how
exactly. If we're in Accra, the laws that govern Kumasi is the same thing. But it's not the same in the US. Every single state has their own laws and regulations that abide them because they are living as a country on its own in states.
Yes, United States.
So you have to move from one place to the other where it can happen. So Kamala says, I will make it very open. Be able to decide for yourself and what you believe is good for your body. Which I believe, even in as much as, like you mentioned, in our local settings, it's frowned upon.
I think there's several reasons why she's trying to use it together with the Democratic Party to ensure that they get what they want.
Right. Women should be given their own power. Women should have their own power to do what they want to do with their bodies. It's not your body. It's nobody's. It's theirs. They say, I don't want it. I want to let it go. Leave them to do so. Yes. Sandra.
How about you?
Well, as a health advocate, I come from the angle whereby women should be allowed, they know their bodies, they know what they are going through, they know that even in our part of the world, if I should use that as an example, you see, financially, economically, you need to be able to tell whether you can take care of the baby or not. Apart from that, financially and economically, yes, you have a right to command what is done to your body, right? What is done to your body. So I believe that really women in the United States should be able to make the decisions for themselves.
Right. Yes, I believe you can go on Zoom and speak to some of our guests there. Like I told you earlier, we have a very young voter, Yao Sam, who is in the U.S., voted, or should I say voting, to select a leader and all that. And aside that, we'll also be joined by Dr. H.S. Kanko, Associate Professor of the University of Communication Studies here in Ghana, will join us on Zoom as well. And later, our correspondent, Kwekwansa, will also come in from the state with live reports, and like I told you earlier,
I think some of those live reports are ready.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. If we can have some of those live reports, yes, that would be good to know what voters are saying on the ground. Right.
To put the criminal in jail and put her in the White House.
Oh, okay. So, talking about our community, safety, protections, women's rights, and all that. So,
she's the only one that would enforce that.
Okay.
He wants to be Hitler again and put us under a regime, and I will not live under that.
Okay.
This is a democracy. This is the United States of America. This isn't time for people to lie and be violent.
Okay. Right.
So when he loses, we're ready for them this time because we don't want no shenanigans. No shenanigans.
Right. So do you mind telling me who you vote for?
Kamala Harris.
Oh, okay.
And Waltz. And they're going to win, and he's going to go to jail where he belongs. Because he's a convicted felon, a rapist, a traitor, and a lying piece of crap.
Okay. How long you been?
All right, so that was an interesting one there. She voted for Kamala Harris, and if she wins, Trump is going to go to jail where he belongs. No, that one is savage. Okay, so we get it that former President Donald Trump is about to cast his vote. Do we have that video? Let's see that now.
Up in force. So we'll see how it turns out, but it seems that they have really shown up in force. I just got a call from Dan Patrick in Tech, said they've never seen anything like it. It's been very good.
Sir, what feedback do you give about your campaign? Do you regret about hiring this campaign?
Look, regrets, you always have regrets. I can't think of any, to be honest, to use her expression. I can't think of any. Look, I ran a great campaign. I think it was maybe the best of the three. We did great in the first one, did much better in the second one, but something happened. And this was the best. I would say this was the campaign we ran.
President Trump, do you accept the possibility that you and Vice Harris both might not get to 270 electoral votes by the end of tonight?
It should never happen. A thing like that should never happen. This one should be over. They spend all this money on machines. And frankly, if they'd use paper ballots, it would be over by the clock. And by the way, the paper ballots would cost 8%. Would be 8% of the cost. If they would use paper ballots, voter ID, proof of citizenship, and one-day voting, it would all be over by 10 o'clock in the evening. It's crazy. They use these very expensive computers, and I'm hearing in Pennsylvania they want to serve till 2 or 3 days from now. I think it's an absolute outrage if that's the case. Now, maybe it'll be later, but it's paper ballots in France. They went paper ballots because the mail-in was not working. It was corrupt. And in France, they went paper. And at 10 o'clock in the evening, they had 37 million votes counted and done. They had a winner, they had a loser. And in the country, I mean, I'm just hearing that in certain states, it's going to be a long time, and it won't even be close. It won't even be that close. I'm going to win the state, but it's going to take a long time to certify it.
Could you see a world where you don't declare victory tonight?
I mean, I'm hearing the same things that you're hearing. I'm hearing states where I'm up by a lot, but they won't have a final number for a long time.
What are your plans for tonight, watching the results and so forth?
So we're going to have a very special group of people, many of whom you know, and they'll be at Mar-a-Lago. In addition, we'll have 4,000 or 5,000 people at the convention center. On the assumption I win, I mean, I don't know if something else happens. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of declaring victory, but if in normal times I would go over to the convention center, let's say at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something, but I just don't know. It looks like a very substantial lead. It looks like we have many more Republicans voting today than Democrats, so if you have a lead and we have a bigger vote, that means you're doing very well, but they have to call a winner. They should, and they should call a winner, yes. Just stop talking about that. Go ahead. Oh, I don't know. I was honored to get Joe Rogan last night. I mean, Joe Rogan's a big deal. He's a very respected person. And I must tell you, Megan was fantastic. She got up and said some things that were really pretty amazing. But before that, I just think we ran a good campaign. I had good policy. We want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. You know, we want strong borders, and we want people to come in. We want to be totally inclusive, but they have to come in. I think that was a big issue. To me, that was the biggest issue. I'd be wrong. You know, a lot of people said inflation. Inflation's a disaster, but I think it's a second issue. I think the first is the border. We can't allow criminals to be put back into our country or to be put into our country. So you have 13,000 plus murderers allowed to roam in our country. Not going to be allowed. They have to go. You have drug dealers. You have terrorists. You